G'day guys, it's Lakota here from Victorian Rockscapes. For you that follow me on Instagram, I put a thing up the other day asking for some genuine questions on, my business, my brand, my machines, all that sort of stuff. So I've got a few. I'm going to answer them here on this video while operating. And make it a bit of a segment on my YouTube. I haven't really come up with a name. I'm thinking Cabin Talk, and that's sort of all I've got. I just thought it might be a good idea for some content for YouTube, as I'm slacking a bit on putting up my jobs. Let's just get into it. So I'll set the camera up, probably somewhere here like so. And let's get into it. So first off, I'll have to pull my phone up. I've got all the questions just sitting there, and we'll see. I've just got to get this grab off, and then we can get into it. Hopefully that'll sit there, which doesn't look like it will, unless I push it in there. Alright, so first question is, so the first questions I got were from Earthcon Group, from Damien, local to our area as well. The first question is, did you find it difficult changing your business name like people didn't know you? Yes and no. I felt like a bit of a lack in, I suppose, reputation maybe. For the most part, it was pretty easy for me. I had quite a bit of work lined up to sort of make that transition a bit easier. I made all my clients aware that it was nothing other than a structure change to the company. So, I mean, it wasn't, the exact same. It was probably a little bit harder, but for the most part, I found it pretty seamless. I mean, I did it at a pretty bad time. The economy and the earth moving industry kind of went to shit. It still isn't in a great place, but for the most part, it was okay. So another one from Earthcon. I've got 3 or 4 from Earthcon. Do you travel over Victoria for rock walls? Yeah, pretty much. We quote work all over the country, pretty much. I'm not opposed to traveling for work. I obviously like my jobs close to home as possible, but if I have to go away for work, I will. It's usually more cost effective for a client to find someone local, but if they like what I do specifically, then yeah, we do travel. I haven't had to go real far yet. I mean, I was in Mia for 3 weeks, I think. Before that I was in Clune, so they're probably like hour and a half from where I'm situated, where I'm based. But yeah, we do quote and do jobs all over the state. I'd even go interstate, but it'd have to be pretty specific for someone to want me to go interstate. But yeah, we're not opposed to traveling at all. Next question. What's plans for 2025? As of right now, probably nothing really changing on the business side of things. We always want more machines and new machines and stuff like that, but there's probably none of that on the horizon for me next year, unless something changes. Probably just try and keep up with the workload, try and focus on spending a bit more time at home. That work-life balance that everyone keeps going on about, trying to figure that out a bit more. But besides that, there is no huge plans for us as of yet. I would like to go on a holiday, but you know, at this point we'll be working through Christmas, through New Year's, probably into about March, and then hopefully around that time taking off a couple of weeks and going away. But nothing's sort of booked in or planned as of yet, so no real plans. I know that's not a real great answer, but we haven't got any real big plans for 2025, other than just sort of keep on top of what we're doing. Our workload's pretty steady, so yeah. Next question is from Luke Pearson. I'm pretty sure it's Pearson Earthmoving. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure he's a guy with a Yanmar 5-tonner. I've had a chat with him a few times. Where do you source your rocks? They always look quite consistent in size and shape. I just get them from, my Colac and basalt and stuff like that, I just get from the boys at Rock Haulers. They're pretty much my main supplier. For any granite, mudstone, stuff like that, I'll go to Reach Rock Art. I use Rick for that stuff, but for the most part we don't actually use that rock a great deal. Consistency, it's got a lot to do with the rock. It's also got a lot to do with how you place it, in my opinion. No two rocks are ever going to be the same unless they're cut, and even then they'd have to be cut on every face for them to be the same. They'd have to be like your sandstone block sort of style. We just have a technique that we, like to use in finding them most consistent. I'm using a rock now which is actually called Colac rock, which is a very basalty, blocky sort of thing that you can see just here. I started out using this stuff quite a lot. I find this a bit harder to get consistent because of the shape. I find the rounder the rock, the easier it is to sort of blend it. But for the most part, it's just picking your rock. For me anyway, that's how I seem to find to get the most consistent lines in my walls. Some people like that sporadic look through their wall. I much prefer to sort of keep it square and straight, and within reason it's still a natural product, but yeah, that's pretty much it. They do know what I want, the boys at Rock Haulers, and they're pretty good after buying a lot of rock through them. We've got a pretty good understanding of what I want, but it still comes down to how you place them. A lot of people try and get the biggest side of the rock facing out. I just try and find the best side to put first. I always try and put the biggest rocks on the bottom, but that's more so in depth, not in height. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for that question. What else have we got? Paul as 1987. Do you find snakes living in amongst their rock walls in years to come? Not that I'm aware of. Snakes definitely do like, warm things to bask on and things like that. I have found snakes in piles of rock. Also found snakes in piles of dirt. So I really think it comes down to where you live more so than the wall you build. You obviously got more places for snakes to hide in rocks, but I think if you're in, the suburbs, you're probably more likely to not get a snake than if you are on a farm like where I am right now. He's already seen 5 or 6 snakes this season. So I think it comes down to, again, where you are and all that sort of stuff. But snakes have got a bad rap. I keep snakes as pets, I keep lizards as pets, I keep dogs, I got a lot of animals, and for the most part, people get bitten by snakes trying to hurt them. If you just leave them alone, they'll leave you alone for the most part. Let's just step on one by accident, but for the most part, they'll pretty much leave you alone. I don't find them regularly though. No, I wouldn't. I mean, out of the thousands of jobs that I've done, I've come across on 2 separate occasions snakes. One was in a rock pile that I was removing. I wasn't building a wall, and the other one was in a pile of dirt. Both on sort of bigger properties. One backed onto a reserve, and one was a farm. So pretty much those sorts of areas you're bound to find snakes. So not much you can really do about it. If you have a conventional retaining wall, you know those concrete sleepers, don't think they don't get hot. Don't think the steel doesn't get hot. The snake will sit up against that, because they do. So I think that question comes down to where you live, more so than what you're building with, because Matt Cassar 90. Do you use GPS inside the excavator when cutting height? No, I have 0 in-cab GPS. Honestly, a lot of my stuff is done by eye to an extent. So like this site cut, I cut it all, got it all to where I thought I needed it, checked the laser over it once, and it was all 150 below finish grade, so exactly where I wanted it. Falling down into this part right here, which is where the Aggie drain's going to go on the front side of this wall. That's why I am now trimming up all this mud, because we had all that rain and now it is full of water. So before I can put the rocks in, I'm just cleaning this edge up a little bit so I'm not working in slop, which I have been all day. So I probably should have done this earlier, but I had the grab on and whatever else. So no GPS. I would probably look at a 2D system that sort of works off your machine, like iDig or something like that. There you go. You can see all that slop that I've just pulled back. I would probably never need to run a Trimble or a Topcon system, a 3D system. I have used them on other people's machines. Great for subdivision and civil works and stuff like that. Pretty pointless for a rock wall. If you're doing the site cuts and stuff like I am, cool. Could get away with it, but I mean the money that you spend on a 3D system's probably, don't quote me to it, probably anywhere between 60 and 100 grand depending on the size of the machine and stuff like that. You can pick up a 2D system for about 20. A lot of the new machines come with them. I know the next gen cats do. The new Volvo 14 ton up sort of size come with a 2D system, I'm pretty sure. Not too sure about Kobelco and stuff like that, but it will become the norm. It's less room for error, but also feel like it sort of makes it easy. I don't think a lot of people can just jump in, cut to grade by eye or a string line, like it used to be done, with a Peggy and an operator. But no systems in any of my machines. I've got my Topcon rotary laser that I'll set up on a staff and tripod that I'll just run around and just get some heights. If it's something serious like the job we just finished off in Macedon, where it's a site cut for a building, still just use that. They're not. It's easier with a labourer, but it is doable. You just have to get out a lot, which is why most of my work is site cuts like the one I'm doing right now for a rock wall, for some grass and stuff like that. I do like a 2D system. Do I need it? No, I don't need it. it would just mean I don't have to get out of the cab. That with an Encon, I'd never get out of here. I'd be in here for 9 hours a day, which would be great, but it's also probably another 100 grand for me to spend on this machine, which I don't want to. BI or BL Landscaping. Hey bro, how do you go about quoting the amount of stone you need per wall? I just work it out per cubic metre. So a metre by a metre is 1 cube. That's pretty much how I work it out. And then I just add a little extra. So if your wall's 25 metres by 1 metre, you need 25 cube of rock. That's as simple as it gets. That's how I work it out. That's how it works for me. There's probably other ways of doing it. People like lineal meters and stuff. I just length by height gives me a cubic meter roughly. And that's enough to get me what I need to do the rock walls. Then obviously if you're doing steps and stuff, most part you just run that in and then figure out your steps after. And size of rock doesn't really determine quantity. Quantity is always quantity regardless if you put a metre rock in or a 200 mil rock in. 25 cubes, 25 cubes. So regardless of how you do it, it's still the same amount. So as long as your truck gets loaded evenly, and one load doesn't get 23 and one gets 25, and the next one gets 26 or whatever. That's pretty much it, mate. There's a pretty basic answer, but there's not much else I can really add to that. So next one. Lockie Whitmore, do you work solo or have a small crew with other operators and labourers? So once upon a time when I was Comfy Living Landscaping, which is still the branding on this machine, I had a bit of a crew happening. Had a couple of people on the books and a couple of part-timers and cash workers essentially. It's just no news to anyone, we all do it. And that was alright. We were running 2-3 jobs at once. I had the 9-tonner, the 3.5 and the 1.8, the mini dumper, the roller. So we were doing, we were still doing obviously our landscape packages, grass. I was doing obviously the bulk earthworks and stuff in this machine and the rock walls and that sort of stuff, and the boys were doing just bits and pieces, landscaping, fencing, all that decking, that sort of stuff. Once COVID hit, it all got a bit hard, as I'm sure it did for everyone. So we sort of dialed it right back to one person, and then that person left, and then it's been pretty much just me and the missus. She'll jump in the truck or jump on a machine if I need her, roll out a driveway. So for your answer, it's just me. I have a couple of subbies that I use from labourers to operators. If I need a posse or something, I've got a couple of people I can call. If I need a labourer or a skilled tradie, I've got people I can call. So like this job, for instance, that we're doing, this Aggie pipe, I'm getting one of my guys in to just be on the ground. He'll run the laser, he'll lay the pipe, I'll pretty much just dig it and backfill it, and we just work in together. And he just sends me an invoice at the end of the day, so a bit of mud on my window. So that I like, that part of it I like, just going, here's your bill, see you later. It is handy to have someone with you every day, even just for your mental state. It gets pretty boring just sitting in here on your own all the time. But, it's what we signed up to do, I suppose, at the end of the day. So, That's it for questions, I think. I don't know how long this video's been going for. 20 minutes. Geez, that went quick. Small crew, B, Matt, Paul, Luke, Earthcon. Yeah. So that was my little idea of content. Not like a podcast style thing, but I just thought me rambling in the cab's great, but you know, if people have questions and want to get to know what we do and stuff like that, I'm going to try and do another one of these, probably sort of episode style, and I'm just going to call them cabin talks, I think, and just answer you guys' questions, or I'll just get on here and ramble about shit, basically. So if you enjoyed watching this, watching me, listening to me, I'd really appreciate some feedback. I'll upload this to YouTube and I'll link it to Instagram, so that the people that did actually ask questions can see what I've answered and how I've done it. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'll try and get it up in the next day or two, and yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, that's all I've got. So if you like it, share, subscribe, tell your mates. If you do have other questions and I haven't put something up on Instagram, just message me. I'm more than happy to answer questions and conversations, or anything like that. So more than happy to try something different and try and communicate with people in the industry. So you guys have yourself a good night, and I'm going to keep digging.